The Spinoff Podcast Network.
Talofa lava. I'm Madeline Chapman, editor at The Spinoff. If you have the means, consider supporting our high-quality journalism by becoming a Spinoff member. Sign up now at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
You're listening to Business is Boring, a podcast that reckons it's anything but. Business is Boring is brought to you by Spark Lab, offering inspiration and practical advice to help businesses find their edge. To hear more about Spark Lab, including details about the latest events, workshops, and business tools, visit sparklab.co.nz. And now, here's your host, Simon Pound.
You're listening to Business is Boring, a podcast that reckons it's anything but. Business is Boring is made by The Spinoff with help from Callaghan Innovation, New Zealand's innovation agency. Here's your host, Simon Pound.
This week's show is a bit different. We're going to be hearing from an entrepreneur about their company and journey, and also from the people behind the C Prize, a competition that company took part in that's helped take their innovations to the world, a prize now open to anyone with an idea that could make a difference in solving environmental challenges. Dotterel are a drone noise reduction company. They make technology that means drones don't drone so much, allowing for things like stealth defense work and screen industry audio recording. CEO Shaun Edlin joins us to talk about how the C Prize helped spur them on and open up new markets. The C Prize challenges New Zealand innovators to use new technologies to tackle complex global problems with creativity and inventiveness. It's open to all New Zealand innovators and comes with a great big cash reward and a support component. The cool thing is that 10 finalists are picked and then mentored through a program, so all get a lot of value with one taking it out. To learn more about how it works and how you can enter, Richard Quin, Callaghan Group Innovation Manager, joins us with the full story. Kia ora, good morning.
Kia ora. Good morning, Simon.
Hey, thanks so much. Hey, so thanks so much for being here today. Should we jump in first with you, Shaun? Tell me about your journey, because this innovation challenge kind of took you out of a background, having worked in some of the great kind of innovation companies in New Zealand, LanzaTech, and then Snowball Effect.
That's correct. So all of the founders of Dotterel are all connected by LanzaTech. We had various roles within that company, from founding, R&D, operations manager, to engineers, to commercialization team. It's a very exciting New Zealand tech startup. When that company moved off to Chicago, there a lot of different tech startups spun out of that. Avatana, Mint Technology, some exciting clean tech companies, and Dotterel was really one of those. It was actually following LanzaTech that we all went off and did our own quite separate tech startups, but we were all drone nerds as well, and remained drone hobbyists. When we saw the C Prize come about, we thought it was a cool competition to take part in. It aligned with our interests, and we liked the problems that were being proposed in that competition. So the C Prize in this instance, and it was the first competition, it was problems with drones in the screen industry. And the two problems proposed were noise and wind. We saw noise as the bigger problem, just because outside of the screen industry, noise applies to essentially every application there is for drones. So decided to give that a go. And it was really taking part in that was really the catalyst for Dotterel, was really its inception.
That's because the prize every year has a different kind of big area of a problem to solve. It's a very specific kind of problem to roll along for a bunch of people who love drones to solve.
It's impressive that they picked noise for drones in the screen industry as being the problem to present competitors with, because even then, even now, drones are still a very new technology, But the noise problem wasn't really recognized at that point. Everyone just knows that drones are noisy. It hasn't been until a lot of these new commercial applications have arisen that the drone noise problem has really become prevalent. Even 2 weeks ago, to highlight this, in Canberra, we've got Google doing drone deliveries and delivering coffees and burritos. And there's been such backlash from the noise of those drones that the government is going to start to regulate, and Google's been found to be in breach of daytime noise standards. And so it really is a huge issue now, but the fact that Callaghan identified that as a problem that they wanted innovators to solve back then is pretty amazing.
Yeah, should we bring you in, Richard? Like, how does Callaghan go about choosing a problem like that to try and then spur people to go out and solve?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I mean, it really comes down to individuals within the organisation uncovering particular challenges for particular industries, and look, it's always a bit of a balancing act. You know, we have to get the themes broad enough to attract enough attention for us to get a decent cohort of teams to take through the program, but it also needs to be narrow enough so it's not just a free for all, and to focus on the technologies and ensure that we've got the right sort of support around the teams, just to work through those particular problems.
Yeah, tell us about the journey through the program, Shaun, because, I mean, so what happened? So a bunch of you who are hobbyist drone enthusiasts, they're like, oh, this looks like it could be fun. And then what happened from there?
So, we have a bit of an aerospace background, and there is collective expertise within Dotterel that meant for us that it's worth us taking part. The program itself is intense. The mentoring around it is really good and strong, and the advice you take on is really useful, not only for doing well in the competition itself, but also helping to build something following. It was, we came runner-up in that competition, so we were a finalist. It wasn't actually until after the competition. So what it did is it provided the opportunity for us to go to the National Association of Broadcasters show, the world's largest screen industry trade show in Las Vegas. And it was there that we took a problem that did well in the Callaghan competition, and this was our acoustic shrouds and our noise reduction technology. But it wasn't until we got to that large trade show that we realized the problem that we're solving is very real, and there are a number of customers that want to utilize this technology. So it was huge market validation for us there. The other great thing is that we won there a Most Innovative Product Award, and it was also that award that really spurred us to say, hey, this isn't just a cool idea from a competition. There's a real business opportunity here, and let's do something with that.
So you got together as a group with experience, obviously, in commercializing science and in productizing ideas, which is a great head start. But then, did you then and they were asking for things that could cut down noise issues. How did you go about actually solving that problem and then turning it into kind of an idea and then into something that could be taken overseas?
So in terms of how that worked in the competition itself, we actually looked at what had been the problem and what had been done in the aerospace industry, particularly with planes, over the last 50 years. And ducting and shrouds for planes are commonly used for acoustics. The challenge with drones is weight, and it's very different when you have vertical lift drones. So we also looked locally to what technologies existed within New Zealand, where you have very lightweight, very acoustic absorbent materials. The partner there that we identified is Revolution Fibers, a very innovative Auckland-based company, and it was incorporating their materials with our shroud design that we quickly learned we'd come across a piece of technology that was very effective in reducing the noise of drones. So we coupled that, rapidly 3D printing, going through hundreds of different prototypes as part of the competition and testing this technology in acoustic laboratories. But also then using our knowledge in commercializing technology to think a little bit forward and, what does the customer want? How are we going to present this to investors? What is an intellectual strategy? An intellectual property strategy that we could build around this technology as well. We even looked at some of the other competitors in the C Prize and thought, following this competition, how can we partner up with them and use some of their own drone noise reduction technologies to make this product even better? So it was as I say, an intense and an exciting process, but had us a very collaborative process with all of the other finalists and entrants as well.
Yeah, and did that cost you? What did you guys have to do? What did your team have to do to make that happen and keep going? Because that sounds like working in kind of audio labs and working with Revolution Fibers, who do amazing stuff in the nanotechnology space with fiber. That stuff doesn't happen easily, does it?
It doesn't, and they say hardware is hard, and it definitely is. There is some money that comes as part of being a finalist, but you really need to push that pretty far. The New Zealand tech ecosystem is very supportive of other young tech companies. So partners like Revolution Fibers eager to be involved and help. Partners like Air New Zealand even eager to help out a young aerospace company. So we made the small amount of money we had at the time go pretty far with the help of some other quite big players.
That's so cool. And Richard, looking at the way that you set up that program, what's the journey for someone who, so do people have to have an idea and a product going before they get in, or can they come in just completely fresh and new to the challenge?
Well, they need to start with an idea, and that idea needs to start very much with a clear problem and a clear customer in mind. And then we'll take them through a process to help them sort of tell that story better. We'll take them through the 10 finalists will get supported through a program that will run over about 4 or 5 months. And that will look at not just the technology, but help them with articulating the problem that they're solving, who they're solving it for, cover off things like IP management, how to raise, when to raise capital, how to tell their story to investors and how to tell their story to customers. Everything that you have to do around the commercialization of technology. But I guess the thing is that is the start, right? So a startup, the life of a startup is it's not an easy path, and so C Prize does not replace the hard work that then has to go on. So once you get through C Prize, you get into the finals, you get picked as one of the finalist teams. That's a pretty, there's a lot of weekends and evenings working on your idea, getting yourself into a position where, when you come to pitch at the finals, you've got the best possible story to tell. And then if you win, you might be on 2 Minute Noodles, for the next few months as you go through that startup journey. But what it does is what C Prize does is gets you to the best possible place you can be to kick off, and it's it's not a guarantee of success, but it's certainly a leg up on the way. And I think what we're doing now, and we're learning from each C Prize as we go through, is focusing a lot more on how we can wrap services around the teams, not just the winner, but the finalists as well as they come out of C Prize, to give them that best possible chance of long-term success. And so we do that through partnerships, and we've got plenty of scientists within our own organisation, plenty of business advisors, innovation advisors who've been through that journey themselves, and lots of connections and a pretty substantial network that we can plug those teams into, so they can for longer term support.
Yeah, how did the idea come about? Because it kind of feels like it's a way of demonstrating all of the different things that Callaghan can actually do for businesses, by bringing it all together into one kind of program. Was that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy in hindsight to talk about how genius we were in thinking about all those things. The C Prize is modelled very much on the X Prize model, but with a difference. And the X Prize puts out a big problem and a big reward to the first team to solve that problem. The variation on that for us is that we put out the problem, and then we support the teams through a program to get them to the best, to get them to that sort of best possible outcome, so product prototype or proof of concept. So it is modelled on the X Prize, but it's our own take on that. And the focus for us, we're very big on technology, obviously being Callaghan Innovation, but we're also, our driver is around the commercialisation piece. So coming out, identifying the opportunities that can be credibly solved from New Zealand, and we're looking to create sort of thriving enterprises, creating high value businesses and meaningful work for New Zealanders.
And each year there's that focus problem that is set up, the challenge to solve. They've been quite pointy in the past, and this year, quite pointy and quite obviously immediately kind of commercially applicable. Tell us about this year, where there's a wider kind of environmental impact kind of focus.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit wider. So environmental innovation is kind of the theme. We've sort of narrowed it to 3 impact areas. So one of them is climate change. The second is cleaning up our waterways, and the third is resource use. So smarter use of our resources. and then we've got the sort of the 3 categories. So how you can impact or have those environmental impacts through looking at how we grow and produce products and services. So that could be existing products and services produced in new ways with new materials, completely new products and services. The kind of the how we use and consume sort of starts getting into that circular economy space. So looking at different consumption methods or systems, and then the third one. The third category is rejuvenation of natural systems. So we're looking for technology-based products and services that actually undo the damage that's been done to the environment in those 3 areas: climate, water, and resources.
Wow. So that's really broad, isn't it? So you could have, I don't know, a scientist who had an idea for plankton to pull carbon out of the atmosphere, or you could have a product that was a more sustainable version of a commonly used, not sustainable product in the world or something. Yeah. And what are you looking for? Are you looking for people who do have like a business already going with products? Are they able to get involved?
Yeah, so it could be, yeah. So our audience, potential entrants will come from either existing businesses that have a new product idea that they want to put through. It could be a form of oh gosh, I've forgotten the term now. Corporate venturing. We could edit that out. Yeah, corporate venturing. So where teams, organisations might want to ring fence a team to work on a particular product idea and take it through the program. It could, we're seeking entries from students, researchers, scientists, Māori organisations, or it could just be smart people who want to get ideas off the back of a napkin or out of the back shed, and ultimately into the hands of customers. So any of those sources, but the objective is that a business is going to be created out of the process. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one coming into it.
And so does it just have to be new? Is that the piece? Like the concept has to be something new to bring into the world.
Yeah, so it has to be new. It has to have a customer clearly in mind. So we need to know who this product or service is being developed for. It needs to be doable. There's the evaluation of the ideas will cover off things like technical doability and market appeal and all those types of things. And it also needs to be commercially sustainable. So it's great that these ideas will have the environmental impact, but the objective for us is to create long-term businesses, as I say, that will create jobs and revenue for the country.
How far along? Because I imagine that in a 5-month process like this, there's quite a few problems that you'd be ready to solve, and that would be part of the process. Like when you came up with the idea to get involved, Shaun, like how much of it was kind of like, well, we know what we're going to do, and how much of it was we know what we'd like to do?
in all honesty, we went into that program just knowing that drone noise was going to be a problem. It wasn't really until we got involved in the competition itself that we started developing a technology solution. And it was the framework that the program provided that encouraged that. And the partners that were introduced, the mentors around the program, that really had us, kind of brainstorm, look at what had been done before, come up with new ideas, and incorporate some existing ideas. So we went in fresh is the answer. Yeah.
Wow.
The thing that you ended up with, how closely did that sort of align with what you started thinking about?
It's pretty different now. Well, broad concept, the same. To explain the technology, there are two core components to what we do at Dotterel. We have acoustic safety shrouds, which is what we developed in the Sea Prize. These enclosed propellers have very lightweight acoustic materials that are very good at absorbing the frequencies that drones generate, but also lift sound up away from the ground and increase the efficiency of the propeller. But we also now have aerial audio recording, which is a proprietary microphone arrays. We work quite closely with Callaghan on some development there, and onboard filtering for being able to capture target audio, but also filter out the rotor noise of the drone and then send clean audio down to a ground station. And that's technology that we're demonstrating heavily in the US at the moment for a number of industries. So at the time of the competition, that second part that wasn't we didn't bring that or take that from the competition itself. But the acoustic shroud technology, broad principles, they were developed there and in the Sea Prize, and they carry through to now.
So that's what we expect, that teams will come in with a concept, and over the course of the program. The concept will be tested initially for the things that I mentioned before, the feasibility primarily, and things like, if there are claims being made around environmental impact, what's the methodology for measuring that, and how credible is that methodology? But the program is intended to go through that design phase, and we're not expecting teams to come out of Sea Prize with a fully developed product in market. We're looking for early prototype of a working prototype of a product, or a proof of concept, depending on the nature of the product itself.
It seems like a much more sensible way to run something, to get a group of 10, just for all the power laws and the relationship of actual kind of like ideas to execution, to get a group of people and then be able to. Have you seen teams kind of merge or ideas come together across the program?
I have, because it's what we did. There were another team that was tackling the noise issue, a University of Auckland team. They're still very much involved. Some work at Dotterel, some remain involved in advisory capacity. But that team is merged very much with Dotterel, which is exciting.
It's funny because we hear a lot people bemoaning the fact that Kiwi businesses and teams don't collaborate particularly well, but that's not what we see at all. And we see with Sea Prize, anything we do actually, overseas missions, some of the programs we run where we get a cohort of businesses together, they can't share enough. There's a real willingness to collaborate around common issues, so you're not having to solve the same thing twice.
That's so cool. And then, so if someone's listening to this at the moment, and maybe they're a scientist who's in a university and they've got an idea that they'd like to see if they could commercialize, or if they're a company with an existing product line and they've got a new product they'd like to get out, are those the kind of people who should be just getting in touch and asking how they could get their idea ready to be in the right shape to enter? Because I understand that it's much more of a collaborative kind of, you want to help people have the best chance of getting through rather than a black box kind of approach.
Yeah. So obviously we don't have the scale to be able to have those too deep, engaged too deeply, because we're expecting a couple of hundred entries. That, for teams for individuals that are looking to enter, the best place to go is to www.cprize.nz. We've quietly opened for entries, so on the 23rd of September, teams can start putting their entries in, and we've already had a few, and entries actually will close on the 8th of December. So there's time for teams to work on their entries. We will have a formal launch on the 17th of October, and then soon after that, we'll run a series of workshops where anyone who's interested in putting an entry in can come along, hear about what's expected, ask any questions around their particular entry, and look for some advice on what the gaps might be in their entries. And then, as I say, they've got till the 8th of December to get their entries in. So there's plenty of advice, there's plenty of information on that website. And if they're ready to go, just got to hit the enter button and they're off.
I would also encourage, even if you've got a full-time job, or if you're in school but you've got a great idea, to enter the competition. One of the teams in last year's Sea Prize, they were a bunch of high school students that I was mentoring through Young Enterprise Trust, had an amazing idea but didn't think the Sea Prize was right for them. That was a big next step. Encourage them to get involved with it. They ended up becoming finalists and made an amazing prototype as part of the process. So it really is for everyone.
Yeah. And so all finalists, so 10 finalists get picked thereabouts, and they'll all get a cash contribution in order to help make the ideas happen, plus the wraparound services and the access to all of the kind of Callaghan scientists and prototyping and all of that kind of stuff. And then the winner, on top of that, gets what do they get?
They get a prize valued at around $150,000, so $100,000 cash. But then we will also then bring them into look at taking them overseas, looking at international missions into other markets to see how other people are doing things. They'll get ongoing access to Callaghan Innovation support, and we're building a cohort of partners around Sea Prize. So potentially looking at potential early adopters of the products and services that come out of Sea Prize, looking at organisations that can take the ideas into overseas markets on our behalf. Really kind of looking to wrap a community of interested individuals and organisations around the team longer term.
And is that what you've found, Shaun, having come out of it? Has that helped with access to funding and future kind of researchability?
It definitely has. It's helped in a few ways. So obviously taking us to the NAB show and the support that we received there in terms of receiving market validation and ultimately winning that award. But even shortly following that, where Callaghan supported us as part of a delegation to CES, the world's largest consumer electronics show. And it was there that we were encouraged to get up on stage and pitch as part of a Techstars competition, and that ultimately led us getting into Techstars, which is one of the world's top tech accelerators, and which I guess further enhance the future success of the company. So there is a lot of support both in the program itself, and then that Callaghan offers ongoing for those finalists that can really create a great business.
That's so cool.
Yes, and just on that, I mean, that what our intent is that coming out of Sea Prize, you've got an idea that's accelerator ready. So we're talking to accelerators now about the potential for having an accelerator ready to go that a Sea Prize cohort may create the core of. But yeah, we've spoken to accelerators, understanding what they're looking for from potential entries into their programs. And so a lot of what we've developed is around making sure that the teams are best positioned for that. So success for us would be 10 finalists and 10 going through to an accelerator program, or if it's a business, getting products into market.
Yeah, and in terms of getting into market, where's Dotterel at the moment? Like, how are things going with your overseas work?
Yeah, we're at a really exciting point right now. The last 2 years for Dotterel were quite focused on developing the IP, proving that IP, and also building a really strong team that is able to do that. This year has been very focused on commercialization. We're in that early commercialization phase, so entering into contracts with governments, with groups in the screen industry, customizing our technology for very unique UAVs and demonstrating to end users such as SWAT and fire departments. One of the big next step for Dotterel and what we're very focused on now as a company is productizing. So doing a lot of design for manufacture and pushing to have some really exciting product out early next year.
That's so awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Shaun Edlin, the CEO at Dotterel Technologies, and to Richard Quin, Group Innovation Manager at Callaghan Innovation. And if you are interested in finding out more, jump onto the Callaghan site and track down the C Prize. Very good choice. Thanks so much. Thank you very much to Tina for producing today. Thank you very much for having us along. If you are a fan and follower of the Spinoff, make sure you check out the Spinoff Members, a program where you're able to get behind and support and choose and shape the investigative journalism that the Spinoff provides.
You've been listening to Business is Boring, presented by Simon Pound, and brought to you by the Spinoff and Callaghan Innovation.
From the Spinoff Podcast Network, that was Business is Boring, brought to you by SparkLab. Make sure you're following Business is Boring wherever you get your podcasts. And for more information on SparkLab, visit sparklab.co.nz. Ready to rediscover the joys of cycling? With over 300 kilometres of cycle paths across Tāmaki Makaurau, jumping on your bike and going for a ride is such a fun way to discover the city from a different perspective. Cycling is getting more and more popular across Auckland, so now's a great time to join the hype and give cycling a go. Head to at.govt/cycling to find your nearest cycleway today. The Spinoff Podcast Network.